Hello guys, and welcome to MedFA. Today we are going to discuss about the second part of the glomerular disease. The first part is already online, you can check it out. So for the second part of nephrotic syndrome, the second part of glomerular disease, we will discuss about nephrotic syndrome. So what are the common features of nephrotic syndrome? The most common feature of the nephrotic syndrome is heavy proteinuria, excess protein in the urine. There should be no protein in the urine. If there is protein in the urine, it is indicative of nephrotic syndrome with minimal or no hematuria, hypoalbuminemia, hypercholesterolemia. There can also be edema and hypertension. Hypoalbuminemia, the patient should be given lipid lowering drugs because there are so much cholesterol in the blood that can lead to cardiovascular complications. So lipid lowering drugs are indicated in the nephrotic syndrome. Also, there are edema because of the salt and water retention. So patient should be given diuretics. Okay, so two concepts are here about the nephrotic syndrome. Two managements are here. We have to give lipid lowering drugs and also diuretic to treat the complications. Alright, so first we will talk about minimal change disease, also known as nil disease. Why is it called nil disease? Because there is no obvious glomerular lesion. Take note, no obvious lesion is present in the glomerulus, and there is no deposit in immunofluorescence microscopy. But when we use electron microscope, we can see the effacement of the foot processes supporting the epithelial podocyte and weakening of the slit pore membranes. Alright, so in minimal change disease or nil disease, we can only see changes in the electron microscope, and on electron microscope we can find effacement of the foot processes that will lead to weakening of the slit pore membranes, that will allow proteins to pass through. Alright, that's why there is heavy proteinuria. Alright, so in the causes, 70 to 90% of nephrotic syndrome in childhood is minimal change disease and 10 to 15% in adults. So this is the disease of children's. Very important, please take note. Disease of children's, minimal change disease, aka nil disease. In clinical presentation, patients come with abrupt onset of edema and nephrotic syndrome accompanied by acellular urinary segment. There are no cells in the urinary segment, only proteins are present, and also because of the protein and salt retention and water retention, there is edema. Average urine protein excretion reported in 24 hours is 10 gram with severe hypoalbuminemia. Definitely, if albumin will go out, there will be hypoalbuminemia, less albumin in the blood. So as high as 10 gram protein can come out in the urine. And also there are complications of hypertension, microscopic hematuria, atopy or allergic symptoms also. 30% children have spontaneous remission. So prognosis is good. Spontaneous remission can happen in 30% children. Take note the percentage of 30% children. But all children are treated with steroids, and the treatment of choice is prednisone. So two things to take note: 30% have spontaneous remission, and relapse can be there in 70 to 75% of children after the first remission, and early relapse predicts multiple subsequent relapse. Alright, if the relapse is early, so it increases the chance of subsequent relapse. There can be more episodes of minimal change disease in the future if the relapse occur in less time. Alright, so take note of the image for the minimal change disease. Take note of the effacement of the podocytes, alright, and increase in pore size, which will allow protein to go outside, alright. Second, we will discuss about focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, FSGS. So in the name we say segmental. So segment means segmental glomerulosis scars involve only some glomeruli, alright, not in all glomeruli, only some glomeruli, and there are scars present. Scars meaning sclerosis, that's why it's called segmental sclerosis, alright. The clinical findings, as I discussed before, mainly proteinuria. 1/3 of the cases of nephrotic syndrome in adults and half of the cases of nephrotic syndrome in African American. So the prevalence is more in African American patients. Possible mechanism given is T cell mediated circulating permeability factor, which will increase the soluble urokinase receptor levels. Take note, increase soluble urokinase receptor level. TGF beta mediated cellular proliferation and matrix synthesis and podocyte abnormalities. So these are the possible mechanisms which will cause the sclerosis in the segmental part, alright. Number 1, T cell mediated. Number 2, increased soluble urokinase receptor level and TGF beta mediated cellular and podocyte abnormalities. So concept is risk polymorphism at the APOL1 locus encoding apolipoprotein L1, alright. So there is polymorphism at the APOL1 locus. Take note, APOL1 locus. APOL1 locus in the gene encodes for the apolipoprotein L1. So what is apolipoprotein L1 do? It is expressed in the podocyte, alright. It is expressed in the podocyte, and if it is not expressed in the podocyte, there will be abnormalities in the podocyte. So this is connected with the podocyte abnormalities, and that's why there are sclerosis in the podocyte, alright. So most prominent at the corticomedullary junction. Very important question for the board exam, on which part there is most prominent sclerosis in the FSGS. So answer is corticomedullary junction. So treatment option for corticomedullary junction is inhibitor of the renin angiotensin system, sometimes steroids. So steroids that is given is cyclophosphamide. Also rituximab and mycophenolate mofetil can be given, but it is not established. The third one is membranous glomerulonephritis, MGN, also known as membranous nephropathy. So in the prevalence, 20% cases of nephrotic syndrome in adults, very important, 20% of cases in the adults. The age is 30 to 50 years old, and male to female ratio is 2:1, so it is more common in males. The membranous nephropathy or membranous glomerulonephritis is associated with a malignancy or infection or rheumatologic disorder. So it's secondary. Take note, MGN is secondary. It can be because of malignancy, example solid tumor of the breast, lung or colon. It can be because of the infection, Hep B infection, syphilis infection, malaria or schistosomiasis. It can be rheumatologic, means immune mediatory, can be because of lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, IgG4 disease, and drug exposure. When we do renal biopsy, we will found that there is uniform thickening of the basement membrane. Take note, uniform thickening of the basement membrane along the peripheral capillary loops. In the capillary loop, there is thickening of the basement membrane. So as suggested in the name, there is thickening of the membrane. Which membrane? Basement membrane. You can remember it with this, thickening of the membrane, basement membrane, and it is secondary because of malignancy or infection or rheumatology. Very, very important. Alright. On immunology, we can find diffuse glomerular deposit of IgG and C3. Very important, C3 and IgG deposition. Now, concept. In 70% case of IMN, autoantibodies against the M-type phospholipase A2 receptor circulate. So, this is very important board exam question. There is antibodies against M-type phospholipase A2 and it bind to a conformational epitope present in the PLA2R on human podocyte. So in human podocyte this bind and it will thicken the basement membrane. Alright, that's why complication occur. 5 to 10% of IMN patient alternatively have autoantibodies of thrombospondin type 1 domain containing 7A. Both antigen co-locate within glomerular subepithelial deposits with IgG4 PLA2R. Other renal diseases do not involve these antibodies. So if you find there is nothing to remember in this whole thing but this one, IgG4 PLA2R. Alright, because PLA2R antibodies only find in membranous glomerulopathy, do not involve any other antibodies in other disease. Alright, in clinical presentation 80% present with nephrotic syndrome and non-selective proteinuria. Spontaneous remission occur in 20 to 33%. Very important, take note for the board exam. Male gender, older age, hypertension and persistence of proteinuria are associated with worse prognosis. In treatment, there is symptomatic treatment. Steroid cyclophosphamide can be given, chlorambucil, mycophenolate mofetil and cyclosporin or rituximab can be given. Rituximab works on CD20. Alright, in diabetic nephropathy, we will talk about diabetic nephropathy. Single most common cause of chronic renal failure in the US. Very important board exam question. Which one is the single most common cause of chronic renal failure? So this is diabetic nephropathy. Diabetic nephropathy, single most common cause of the chronic renal failure in the US. Very important question for the board exam. Approximately 40% of the patient with type 1 or type 2 DM develops nephropathy, but due to higher prevalence of the type 2 diabetes, 90% cases are from the type 2 and 10% from the type 1. What are the risk factors? As you all know, hyperglycemia, hypertension, dyslipidemia, smoking, family history of diabetic nephropathy and gene polymorphism all acts upon the diabetic nephropathy and increase the risk of diabetic nephropathy. Thickening of the GBM is a sensitive indicator for the presence of diabetes. So how you gonna check that if a diabetic patient is having diabetic nephropathy? So the basic indicator is thickening of the GBM, basement membrane, but it poorly correlates with the presence or absence of the clinically significant nephropathy. So clinically you will not found any difficulties, but when you go for the microscopic testing and will check for the GBM, there will be thickening of the GBM that will indicate of the diabetic nephropathy. Composition of the GBM is altered with a loss of, very important, heparan sulfate that notifies from the negative shaped filtration barrier that will increase the filtration of the serum protein and expansion of the mesenchyme. Again, composition of the GBM is altered with a loss of heparan sulfate motides. These heparan sulfate motides that form negative charge filtration barrier. The negative charge filtration barrier will go against each other and there will be expansion of the mesenchyme. Okay, so there will be expansion of the mesenchyme that will allow the protein to pass. Alright, the expansion will allow the protein to pass and also will cause mesangial sclerosis. Alright, and also there is eosinophilic PAS nodules present which is positive in nature in nodular glomerulosclerosis, also known as Kemal-Still-Wilson nodules, very important for the board exam. KW nodules present in the diabetic nephropathy. In the vascular changes, there is hyaline and hypertensive atherosclerosis can be present because of the as you already know, high blood sugar for more time can be a risk factor for atherosclerosis. In the pathology, direct effect of hyperglycemia on the actin cycloskeleton of the renal, mesangial and vascular smooth muscle with diabetes associated change in the circulating factor such as atrial natriuretic factor, angiotensin 2, IGF, that both will lead to increase in pressure of glomerulus. So there will be increased glomerular capillary pressure. This increased pressure will further cause increased matrix production, alteration in the GBM, disruption of the filtration barrier and glomerulosclerosis. In 40% patients with diabetes who develop diabetic nephropathy, the earliest manifestation is albuminuria. Very important and board exam question. Which one is the earliest manifestation for the diabetic nephropathy? This is albuminuria. After 5 to 10 years of diabetes, 30 to 300 mg 24 hour is called microalbuminuria. This is actually common in the diabetic patient. After 5 to 10 years after diagnosis of the diabetes, there can be 30 to 300 mg per 24 hour will be called microalbuminuria. Patient with diabetes nephropathy have normal or enlarged size of renal. There can be normal size, take note, or enlarged size. So renal size will not tell you about the disease, but the thickening of the GBM and other expansion of the mesangium will tell you. Onset of the proteinuria 5 to 10 years after the diagnosis, and GFR starting declining in 50% patient. Later, after diagnosis of diabetes. For treatment option, basically you will control diabetes, you can control the renal disease also. So control of the blood sugar, control systemic blood flow. If patient is hypertensive, give ACE inhibitor and angiotensin receptor blocker and antihypertensive drugs. Alright. Next we will talk about glomerular deposition disease. Alright. So as name suggested, deposition in the glomerulus. So a concept, plasma cell dyskersis means abnormal state. So if there is abnormal state of plasma cell, it will produce excess light chain immunoglobulin. Alright. If there is abnormal state of plasma cell will produce excessive light chain immunoglobulin, and that will lead to formation of tubular deposit of the light chain. So light chain will go to glomerulus and will deposit there, and that will cause the heavy proteinuria and renal failure. Alright. And this same is true for the accumulation of the serum amyloid protein fragments. Alright. So this is the concept for the deposition disease. So first deposition disease we gonna talk about is light chain deposition disease. So light chain malignancy that will produce more light chains so there will be production of nephrotoxic light chain that will cause cast nephropathy, cause renal failure, but not heavy proteinuria or amyloidosis. And the second one is light chain deposition disease. In cast nephropathy, there will be cast coming out of the urine coming out from the urine. In light chain deposition disease, there will be deposition in the glomerular disease and produce nephrotic syndrome with renal failure, and that will produce kappa light chain. Alright. The kappa light chain produced will self aggregate and form deposit along the glomerular capillary and mesangium basement membrane and Bowman's capsule, and that will produce nephrotic syndrome. So this is the pathophysiology. Alright. And for this, because there is malignancy of the light chain, so there will be so much light chain, so we can see it with light chain using anti-light chain antibody using immunofluorescence or deposit of the electron microscope. So we can use immunofluorescence or the electron microscope to see anti-light chain antibody that will be present in the light chain deposition disease. Alright. Number 2, renal amyloidosis. Result of primary fibrillar fibrillar deposit of the immunoglobulin light chain known as amyloid. So there will be deposition of the amyloid proteins AL or amyloid A. So there are two types of amyloid chains, amyloid L and amyloid A. Amyloid L also coded AL and second one is called AA. Alright, amyloid L, number one we will talk about amyloid L. This is primary amyloidosis, light chain produced by the clonal plasma cell dyskeresis abnormal state. If there is abnormal state of the clonal plasma cell, take note, clonal plasma cell, that will lead to amyloid L, whereas deposition of the B-plated sheets of serum amyloid A protein will cause amyloid A. So this is primary, this is secondary. Alright, this is for 75% of the classes and rest 25 is amyloid A. The function of amyloid A is cholesterol transport, immune cell attraction and metalloprotease activation. So it will activate the metalloprotease, also it will transport cholesterol and immune cell alteration. So there will be destruction of the glomerulus because of the immune cell attraction and cholesterol transport will be increased because of this. So there will be high chances of atherosclerosis. AA and AL amyloid fibrils are detected with Congo red, very important exam question, or electron microscopy. In early stages, serum free light chain nephrometry can be done to detect amyloid fibrils. Biopsy, very important for diagnosis. In 90% cases it's positive and PAD aspirates positive in 70%. For treatment, very important, Meflan is the treatment of choice. Meflan, what Meflan do, it alters the DNA nucleotide guanine. How it alters the guanine with alkylation and cause linkage between the standard of the DNA. So there will be inhibition of the DNA synthesis and there will be cell death. So there will be no production of the amyloid protein. No production of the amyloid protein, there will be no deposition of the amyloids. Alright, so Melphalan is the treatment of choice. Next we will talk about the Fabry's disease, X-linked. Take note, this is X-linked disease, inborn error of the glomerulo. Next we will talk about Fabry's disease, X-linked inborn error of the globotriasis. Next we will talk about the Fabry's disease. This is actually X-linked inborn error of the globotriacyl ceramide metabolism. This is secondary to deficient lysosomal 2 galactosidase A activity. Very important, take note for the board exam. What is deficient in the Fabry's disease? Lysosomal 2 galactosidase A activity, and this will increase the intracellular storage of the globotriacyl ceramide. An affected organ where it will store in the vascular endothelium, heart, brain or kidney. So classic presentation will be mainly presented in the males, in the children's, and classic presentation is the acorpoparesthesia, a condition of burning, tingling, pricking sensation or numbness in the extremity present on awaking, an unknown case of produced by the compression of the heart during sleep. Also there is angiokeratoma and hypohidrosis, diminished sweating, angiokeratoma, small dark spot of the screen. So these three will be presented in the Fabry's disease. So this is very important board exam question. What are the clinical feature of the Fabry's disease? And one more thing, X-linked inborn disease and also the enzyme name. Alright, so over the developed cardiomyopathy, over time they will develop cardiomyopathy, cerebrovascular disease and renal injury, and death will be at 50 years age indicated. Renal biopsy, we can do renal biopsy, we will find zebra bodies, which is called zebra bodies, very important. Treatment of choice is renal angiotensin system inhibitors, recombinant alpha galactosidase and transplant is indicated. Next we will talk about basement membrane disease. The basement membrane disease, the concept here is the kidney epithelia include podocyte. There is podocyte in the kidney epithelia and they rest on the basement membrane and they have collagen collagen type 4 with laminin, nidosine, sulfated, proteoglycans. Alright, so in the collagen 4 contains 6 chains. In this syndrome, basement membrane syndrome, the collagen form alpha A and alpha 2 will be replaced by alpha 3, alpha 4, alpha 5, and this replaced collagen is more resistant to proteases and ensure the structural longevity of the critical tissue. Alright, so this is the concept of the basement membrane disease. Now, in basement membrane disease, the first one is anti-GBM disease. There are antibodies are directed against the alpha 3 NC1 domain of the collagen 4. Take note, alpha 3 domain. So if collagen 4 is replaced with alpha 3, so there will be antibodies against alpha 3 domain, will be called anti-GBM disease associated with the RPGN and Goodpasture syndrome. Right. Second one is the Alport disease. Alport disease, there is three things: hematuria, thinning of the GBM, and proteinuria. So this is the triad of Alport syndrome: hematuria, thinning of the GBM, and proteinuria. Proteinuria is not severe; it's mild proteinuria, followed by glomerulosclerosis, which will lead to renal failure and sensory neural deafness. So if a patient comes to you with sensory neural deafness and also hematuria and thinning of GBM and proteinuria, so the most likely diagnosis is Alport syndrome. Alright, and also some of the patients develop lenticonus of the anterior lens. You check on the Google what is lenticonus of the anterior cell. Sorry, I forget to add the picture. There can be mental retardedness or leiomyomatosis. Etiology of the Alport syndrome: 85% of the patients have X-linked inheritance of the Alport syndrome. Mutation in the alpha 5 chain of fourth collagen 4. Alright, on chromosome number X, Q22, 24. 15% have autosomal recessive disorder. 15% autosomal recessive disorder with the alpha 3 chain of collagen 4 and alpha 4 of the collagen 4 chain on the chromosome number 2, Q35, 37. Clinical evaluation: carefully examination should be done and hearing test should be done. Weber's and Rene test should be done. Skin biopsy for the alpha 5 chain of the collagen and renal biopsy to check areas of thinning mixed with splitting of GBM. The treatment is control of hypertension and usage of ACE inhibitor. So that's all for this, guys. This chapter is taken from Harrison. Every line written here is taken from Harrison. If you have any doubt or any suggestions for us, you can comment down below. Thank you.